Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to Miele's press conference here at IFA 2022. So many people here. That feels so good. After almost 3 years, we are back. Good to have you here. Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen. And also warm welcome to everybody watching us online from all around the globe. Thanks for tuning in. Because of our international guest, this is our first press conference in English. My name is Dorothy Gelmar, and I have the honor to guide you through this press conference, which is packed with so much information, with highlights, with insights firsthand. You have seen it here during our countdown, and I'm sure you read it already. The main topic for Miele at this year's IFA is sustainability, and also the motto is like that: discover quality ahead of its time for a better tomorrow. In the next 45 minutes, we all will get to know what is behind that topic. And I am pleased to announce the 3 executive directors of the company. I'm very pleased that you are here, gentlemen. Hello, Dr. Axel Kniehl, Executive Director, Marketing and Sales of Miele, and the 2 executive directors and co-proprietors, Dr. Markus Miele and Dr. Reinhard Zinkann. Good morning, good to have you here. Of course, we have scheduled a Q&A session for our press conference. For everybody on site here in Berlin, please save your questions until our final round. And for everybody in the live stream, please use the chat function to send your questions and your input. We try to answer as many questions as possible. I'm almost certain that everyone here in the room and also in the live stream is interested in the press release, including pictures of our event. You can find a QR code on your seat, or for sure you can visit our website where you get all information. It's miele-press.com. We are going to upload everything at the end of the press conference. And now, I'm sure you're curious. Let's start. Let's dive into the world of Miele. Let's have a brief look at the company's situation and get insights in first products and systems and services that Miele is about to show at IFA 2022. And I'd like to hand over the word to Dr. Reinhard Zinkann. Good morning, Reinhard.
Thank you, Doro. Ladies and gentlemen, dear journalists, a very warm welcome to Miele at the IFA. It's so great to be back here. It's so great to see all of you after an enforced breakdown of 3 years. As such, we really look forward to this trade show, and it's really great to see everybody back here. At this trade show, we'd like to show you the many ways in which Miele is doing its utmost to protect the environment and the climate, and supports its customers to do so. Discover quality ahead of its time for a better tomorrow. This is our motto of this year's fair: be curious and take us at our word. Specifically, we'd like to present the following over the next few minutes: 2 exciting further developments on our hobs, new steam ovens with the convenient HydroClean self-cleaning function, plus a newly entry-level range with a significantly reduced entry price. Our new K4000 generation of freestanding refrigerators and freezers, news from Smart Home, and, as announced, there are also lots of useful details on how you, as Miele customers, can protect the environment and the climate with new and tried and tested features. At this point, however, allow me to take a brief look at the situation at Miele in these turbulent times. Dear guests, in year 3 after the outbreak of the pandemic, the much-cited extraordinary economic situation from which our entire industry profited significantly has clearly returned to normal in the recent months. In addition, there has been a sharp drop in the general consumer climate in important markets. We all know the reasons for that. At the same time, however, the demand for high-quality domestic appliances, especially in the built-in sector, remains high. It seems that many people are buying more consciously, for example, with regard to the longevity and energy efficiency of their domestic appliances. As the industry's leading premium brand, Miele benefits disproportionately from this. In this inconsistent and challenging environment, Miele remains on track for growth after the first half of this business year. I would like to take the opportunity to thank our retail partners for the committed and competent support, even and especially under the difficult conditions of the pandemic. Another piece of good news is that our unfortunately long delivery times, which were mainly due to Corona and the shortage of semiconductors, are also returning to normal in big steps. In most product categories, we're practically back to normal delivery times in just a few days. One issue that continues to preoccupy us all, of course, is the horrific war in Ukraine, with no end in sight. Linked to this, for example, is the growing concern about the gas supply in Germany over the coming winter. We are also preparing intensively for this and have taken concrete initial measures. But now to our first trade show innovations. Dear guests, for some years now, induction hobs with integrated extraction have been one of the booming segments among built-in kitchen appliances. Of course, Miele is represented here with a convincing range of products. Our two-in-ones, as we call these appliances, combine the best from Miele's competence centers for hobs and cooker hoods in Bünde and Arnsberg. That's why I'm all the more pleased to present you today our new silenced products with an even more powerful, but at the same time, even quieter extractor unit, fan. New, too, is plug and play installation for recirculation operation, for even more flexible planning, easier installation, and significantly more storage space. The second new IFA feature on our hobs is fully surface induction and bears the suffix diamond. We all know the mishaps that occur during cooking. For example, when sand from vegetables or salt lands on the ceramic glass and then the pot or pan is quickly moved. The result is stubborn little scratches that cannot be removed despite greatest effort. Our new diamond hobs have an extremely hard surface finish with a hardness which is insignificantly lower than the one of diamonds. This reduces scratches from sand, for example, by 95%, and the originally high-quality appearance is retained for much longer. From cooking, we now move to roasting and baking. Dear guests, our new entry-line class of ovens, which we are representing here for the first time, has it all. A completely new purist design, a plain text display, and, last not least, convenient automatic programs. This means that price-conscious customers get significantly more for their money. Connectivity included, of course, with energy efficiency Class A in 100% Miele quality and tested for 20-year service life. And while we're on the subject of premium, ladies and gentlemen, you remember our AE appliances, Smart Food ID and Cook Assist, which we introduced years ago. We're now expanding these significantly. Smart Food ID, automatic recognition and preparation of food using a camera in the oven, was previously only launched on test markets. Now, Smart Food ID will be introduced in 15 European countries, in Germany next year. And with Cook Assist, the app-supported guide for the best possible frying and cooking results with Miele induction hobs, we're continuously expanding our range of recipes. And in future, Amazon Alexa will talk you through the preparation steps. This will make cooking even more intuitive and more fun. Speaking of fun, I've saved one small highlight from the connected kitchen: the camera. The camera in the oven transmits high-resolution photos of the roast, gratin or cake to the smartphone every minute. Anyone who wants to now and can share these pictures, greetings from the oven with their friends using the picture share function in the Miele app via all common platforms such as Instagram, WhatsApp, or even by email. Lastly, let's go back to the overall IFA presence. Of course, our guests can look forward to an inspiring, atmospheric and enjoyable stand at this IFA as well, as you know from us. But you will find our messages on climate protection clearly and interactively presented over here and there in our sustainability alley, the green heart of our trade show booth, so to speak. Of course, our booth itself is also consistently sustainable. Stand sections are stored and reused. Furniture and decorations are rented. The paper is 100% recycled. Bags, goodies, and disposable tableware have been banished, as are printable vouchers, tickets, and their plastic sleeves, to name just a few examples. How to cook in a way that is both enjoyable and sustainable. This is the topic of an inspiring live program to join in, try and enjoy. On all days of the fair, 4 times a day, here on this stage. The culinary side of the show is created by a true virtuoso of his trade, Sebastian Frank, chef of the Horvath restaurant here in Berlin, with 2 Michelin stars and 1 green star for sustainability. We look forward to seeing Sebastian Frank here at Miele at IFA 2022, as indeed we look forward to seeing you and all the other guests. Thank you very much for your attention, and now I hand over to Doro Geldmar again.
Thank you, Reinhard. So I received already some questions, but as always, I have also one. Maybe you can stay here for 1 second. In the middle is fine, so we can see you, right? You mentioned the gas shortage, which is possible, and that you're prepared. How is Miele prepared for that situation?
Well, we completely analyzed our consumption and the demand, and then set the goal of saving 20% across all our European locations, both in production and building heating compared to our average consumption last winter. We are well on track and have already implemented a number of measures in our plans. For example, we have converted corresponding plants in Gütersloh, Bielefeld and Lehrte from gas to electricity, or optimized the process in such a way that we can manage with significantly lower and lesser gas. So we believe that we are well prepared. The greater risk, however, is a different one. The greater risk we see is the possible absence of parts from suppliers.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we will discuss that later in our final round. Reinhard Zinkann, thank you very much. Let's now focus on the main topic, ladies and gentlemen, which is sustainability. I think the 3 years of the pandemic have changed the minds of many people, maybe also of all of our minds, because gas shortage, we talk about a climate crisis, energy problems, and so on. We all want to be sustainable, and for Miele it's not new to act sustainable, but everyone is willing to put one more on top. I'm interested in how that will look like, and the answers will follow by Dr. Markus Miele. Markus, this is your stage.
Thank you very much, Doro. I have to say it's great to be here again in person, and also greetings to all the people on LinkedIn. It's good to have people in the room again. Dear guests, we share one common home, our planet, and we all have a responsibility to protect this home. Every kilowatt hour counts, says Germany's Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck in a dramatic appeal. Who would want to contradict that? Since our company was founded 123 years ago, ecological and social responsibility has been inseparably linked to the company and the Miele brand. This applies to all facets of our corporate activities and their impact on people, the environment, and of course, the climate. On the one hand, This corresponds to our understanding of responsibility. On the other hand, the sustainability of a company and its products is now a fundamental competitive factor. We have achieved a lot on this path, but there is still a lot to do left. To set the course for this, we have formulated pledges for 3 essential fields of action. Firstly, make sustainability happen at every step. We continuously work towards making sustainability essential at every stage of our services and products life cycle, as well as across our value chains and in the homes of our customers. Secondly, make appliances that won't leave a mark. Miele is dedicated to producing the best possible products and services with the least impact on the environment, with the ultimate aim to make them 100% carbon neutral. And thirdly, end waste by giving our appliances a new life. We are working towards creating a circular value chain with net zero waste for all materials used in our appliances to re-enter the loop at the end of their life cycle. Esteemed guests, each of these 3 pledges have 2 dimensions. What are we doing and planning at Miele? And I would like to go into detail in the next few minutes. And how do we support our customers living a more sustainable life? And Axel will cover that later. Dear guests, since 2021, we have been CO2 neutral across all locations in terms of greenhouse gas emissions from our own combustion processes and those of our energy suppliers. Sustainability experts refer to this as Scope 1 and 2. We have achieved this partly by switching to 100% green electricity and partly by participating in carefully selected offset projects. But because, as a manufacturer, we cannot completely avoid emissions yet, but we continue reducing the Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions by 50% by 2030 compared to 2019. And still we want to grow, of course. To achieve this, we are investing significantly in energy efficiency measures and in further expansion of photovoltaics at our sites. A great example of this is our vacuum cleaner plant in Dongguan in China. Last year, a photovoltaic system with a surface area of around 8,100 square meters went online there, and this saves 1,600 tons CO2 per year. Right now, we are currently expanding this installation to triple its capacity and will then produce even more electricity than we consume in the entire plant. But see for yourself. For buildings, but also for our vehicle fleet. Here, we want to reduce our CO2 emissions by 30% in real terms by 2030. And we have our service fleet in particular in mind. The topic of electromobility plays a central role in this, and we intend to use it gradually to convert our global vehicle fleet to renewable energies. In this context, I'm particularly pleased that Miele is one of the first companies to use the new ID. Buzz from Volkswagen as a commercial vehicle. After all, Volkswagen and Miele are linked by a long-standing partnership that began back in the 1950s with the first T1 VW vans. Some might recall them as Bulli. We are now continuing the partnership in the field of electric mobility. More about this is just to happen in under 3 weeks at the Volkswagen Commercial Vehicle booth at the IAA Transportation Fair in Hanover. As a drive system for our vehicles, however, the much discussed topic of hydrogen is also very interesting for us. Here, Miele was the first company to be able to use the new Opel Vivaro e-hydrogen. With this vehicle, we can also provide an environmentally friendly alternative to our service technicians who do not have their own electric charging station at home. Incidentally, hydrogen will also be used in the future for another project to reduce CO2 emissions, namely green steel. Last year, we already used almost 24 tons of green steel per month in our ovens. With this material, CO2 emissions in the manufacturing process are reduced by more than 66% through the use of climate-friendly energy sources and scrap steel. In future, CO2 emissions can be reduced by more than 95% through the use of hydrogen. Here too, we will be among the pioneers and are in a very close exchange with our suppliers. Finally, dear guests, I would like to talk about a product that is one of my personal favorites. It's about our steam oven with its many preparation options, including the combination of both modes, sous vide cooking and, yes, the preparation of yogurt or the juicing of fruit. These appliances stand for creative enjoyment and pleasure, though not necessarily when it comes to cleaning afterwards. This brings me to our steam ovens from the DGC Pro series with a new HydroClean self-cleaning function. Even burnt-on food residues are removed effortlessly, and the cooking chamber retains its pristine, well-maintained appearance. Simply pour the liquid cleaner we developed especially for this purpose into the strainer at the bottom of the appliance. The rest is automatic. But see for yourself. Impressive, isn't it? Dear guests, the well-endowed steam ovens with a diversity of preparation methods and numerous convenience features naturally have their price. That is why I'm pleased to conclude my part by announcing a new range which now makes the entry point into the Miele world of steam ovens significantly more affordable. Fully fledged oven, fully fledged steam cooker, combination of both modes possible, developed and produced at Miele's Oelde plant, 100% Miele quality and tested for a 20-year service life, all for less than 2,000 euros. Miele is thus rounding off its steam ovens both upwards and downwards, and I'm already looking forward to feedback from our trade partners and consumers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Dr. Markus Miele, thank you very much. Impressive, yes. Markus, you just mentioned that the sustainability has two facets, or many facets.
Absolutely,
We
yes.
talk about saving energy, CO2 reduction, and so on. I would be interested in the social component. What are your actions here at Miele?
Absolutely. So it's economical, it's ecological, but also social responsibility. And I mean, Miele has a great starting point because already when we started in 1899, our great-grandfathers had the vision also to include the employees. And for example, in 1909, we were one of the first companies that had a health insurance fund. Only 20 years...
Long ago. Wow.
Absolutely, yeah. And 20 years later, our own pension plan. And still a lot of our employees benefit from that, of course. And to jump back into this time, all our production sites are social accountability SA 8000 certified. This also shows our commitment.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Dr. Markus Miele.
Thank you.
We have just heard that we have two dimensions. On the one hand, Miele itself acting sustainable, and on the other hand, helping us to live a more sustainable world. But how can we wash our dishes and our clothes in a more eco-friendly way? The answers will follow in a second from Dr. Axel Kniehl, but first, we have a short movie for you. Let's go.
When I think about how I design my home, it's pieces that will last a long time that I don't need to think about rebuying. And just because someone gets bored of something, it doesn't mean it's lost its lifetime. It can be reborn to someone else and it will be useful for them. Just like my oven, you know, I bought it secondhand and it's still going. It's reliable, I can depend on it. It's just as good as brand new, knowing that it's a brand that is quality made that I can depend on. I think good design is definitely practical, it's definitely useful, and it is something that's going to last. It has longevity. And Miele, for me, represents that quality that makes my life better.
Ladies and gentlemen, also from myself, first of all, a very, very warm welcome here today. Und ich würde ganz gerne auch nochmal einen ganz besonderen Gruß an die Vertreter der uns so langjährig begleitenden deutschen Presse richten. Es ist wirklich toll, dass Sie alle hier sind, auch so in großer Vielzahl hierher gekommen sind, obwohl wir live streamen und damit auch nochmal ganz andere Gespräche nachher möglich sein werden. So we've just seen Farnaz from England. She is one of many genuine Miele customers that we have asked about their experiences with our appliances. And of course, providing extraordinary quality, reliability, durability is an example of what Markus has been talking about previously. And it is in our heart to do everything we can to help our customers to live a more sustainable and of course also a better life, but especially also a more sustainable life. But what else is there on top of producing and testing appliances for a lifetime of 20 years, which we all know is significantly more and longer than any of our competitors. And let me start with CO2 emissions, because that's obviously one of the core topics that everybody is talking about. Most of these emissions, and as a matter of fact, 84% of these emissions are not created during the production of the appliances, but they're actually created during the usage of the appliances over their lifetime. And of course, here we are primarily talking about energy efficiency, but also about the emissions that are related to the production, for example, of detergents and cleaning utilities during the life cycle of the appliances. Now, if we look back over the last 20 years, we've been able to produce appliances, create, innovate appliances, and produce appliances that are using over 55% less energy today than they were 20 years ago. And in the case of washing machines, that's even significantly more. We're talking about 72%. Now, how is this reflected then in our current range of washing machines? So first of all, almost all of our front loaders today are in the highest energy efficiency class A. We also have a very innovative program, which is called Power Wash, which actually is combining high energy and water efficiency with short cycle times. Something we know from consumers is actually a true pain point when thinking about energy efficiency. We also have created a program which is called Single Wash, which allows consumers to wash even single items like shirts or trousers with a cycle that is precisely tailored and reducing energy and water consumption in the same rate than in a full load. And if you think about our automatic dispensing system, Twindos, which I think you know for many, many years, you also know that this allows consumers to save up to 30% on detergent during the usage time. And of course, washing doesn't stop with washing, but then goes into drying as well. And almost all our tumble dryers are extremely energy efficient with values of ATRIPLE plus minus 10%. And as you know, we only produce tumble dryers that are using the very energy efficient heat pump technology. But Miele is also setting standards on sustainability in dishwashing. And my dear guests, I'm really delighted to be able to present to you here today the most sustainable and most energy efficient dishwasher Miele range that Miele has ever built. Let me be specific. Almost all dishwashers of the generation G7000 are in energy efficiency class A. And that is also something that we see consumers actively asking and searching for. Therefore, today, in Western Europe, 25 countries, Western and Eastern Europe, according to the latest GfK numbers, Miele has a market share in units of 73.7%, a great point of trust of consumers into what we believe is most sustainable dishwashers. So almost 3 out of 4 customers are actually choosing Miele when thinking about sustainability on dishwashing. And in addition, again, knowing that cycle time can be a pain point, this is all possible in cycle times of less than 4 hours. Now, if you connect the appliances on top of that to hot water, the electricity usage can further be reduced by almost 50% when using these appliances. And of course, all of these appliances are tested, again, for 20 years of lifetime. Now, all of these appliances can actually be used even more environmentally friendly when they are connected to solar power and integrated into smart energy management systems. Supported, for example, by strong partners like Loxone, whom we started cooperating in February this year from Austria, and Smapi, we just announced from Belgium. The principle is similar in both corporations. Miele domestic appliances and, if applicable, other power-consuming devices start automatically and depending on the surplus of energy in the in-house photovoltaic system. Speaking of washing and dishwashing, especially against the background of dramatically increased energy prices, now many people also ask themselves what they can do, and we've heard about Scope 3 emissions before, to save even more water and energy at home. And the answer to this question is actually quite simple. It's all related to the Eco program and the usage of the Eco program. And let me share with you a quite astonishing fact. We know from research and the data available to us that in Germany, only 5% of the households are using the Eco program on washing machines. That's 1 in 20 cycles. On dishwashers, it's a little bit better. It's around 25%, so 1 out of 4 cycles. Now, we asked ourselves, what's the impact of this decision that our consumers are taking every day? Well, let's turn it around. If we just assume that together we are able to increase these numbers from 5 to 30% on washing machines, and maybe from 25 to 50% on dishwashers, the amount of energy that can be saved on an annual basis is almost 1.5 billion kilowatt hours every year. Now, 1.5 billion kilowatt hours every year is the equivalent of the energy production of Isar 2 nuclear power plant in Bavaria in about 1.5 months. So that gives you a perspective of the dimension of energy saving that is in our hands every day. Now, a particularly exciting feature that helps our consumers to actually see the potential of Eco programs is the consumption dashboard in the Miele app, available in Q4 this year. Our customers can easily and clearly find all usage and consumption data for the selected programs, initially starting for dishwashers in Q4, but then also from next year onwards for washing machines and other products. The consumption dashboard obviously then also helps to give tips and tricks on how to use the appliances more efficiently. This is good for the environment, but as we all know, especially in these times, it's also good for the family finances, and our Vice Chancellor probably is also quite happy about it. Dear guests, of course, sustainability at Miele is not just related to washing and dishwashing. Healthy, tasty, and sustainable cooking has been a core Miele competence for decades as well. However, as we all know, sustainability in the kitchen starts with planning, shopping, and then storing the food. Depending on the study you pull, between 12 and 18 million tons of food get thrown away into the bins every year in Germany alone. And the global numbers, of course, are X times bigger. What a waste. And each and every one of us can contribute to contradicting this. And of course, we also ask ourselves, what can we do in our appliances to help our consumers? So we have a whole range of innovations and innovative solutions to do just that. And let me share a few examples with you. Something you can see here on the fair is the very innovative Perfect Fresh Active Freshness System. So food stays not just fresh and looking better, but it stays that for 5 times longer than in standard classical vegetable departments. Every 90 minutes, and of course every time the refrigerator door gets opened, a fine mist of water is released directly into the fresh food drawer for crisp, fresh fruits and vegetables. Our taste control function in the oven opens the door to the ajar position at the end of the program, and therefore reduces the probability of too high temperature in the oven, preventing food from, at the end of the day, overcooking or even burning or drying out, which typically then leads to not being too tasty and getting thrown away. And the mix and match function that we have in our steam oven provides actually the opportunity for you to decide on which additional ingredients you would like to add to the specific recipe. So you can actually do and use this function with something you have left over from yesterday, fresh or already cooked, or for other reasons. Taste control and mix and match are absolutely exclusive and only available from Miele. Finally, I would like to also introduce to what is perhaps our most important innovation at this IFA, even though I must admit I like the steam oven as well. Our new K4000 Refrigeration Freestanding series, which combines energy efficiency with a maximum of convenience and, as we've heard, with Perfect Fresh Active also helps significantly live more sustainably. My personal convenience highlight is the freeze and cool, which actually allows you to select whether you would like the freezer zone to be converted into an additional refrigeration zone as needed. So for example, very practical, you want to chill a lot beef because you're about to start your new barbecue, or you need a lot of space for additional drinks for the birthday party, here's your space available in your refrigerators. And when it comes to energy efficiency, the K4000 series is, of course, top-notch as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of silica. Silica is a specific material, and you might have heard of it as a food supplement or beautiful skin and hair supplement. Now, silica is used in our new generation refrigerators as an insulation material. It is highly effective, but at the same time, it is also allowing us to provide very thin insulation that works under vacuum. Silica thus enables the appliances to achieve A-class energy rating on the new label without compromising on the interior space. But even more important, due to the special material properties of silica and the high-quality sealing and the technology behind it, it ensures also that this high energy rating is kept over the very long lifetime of the refrigerator. It is not diluted over time significantly as with other technologies in refrigeration. That too, my dear guests, is quality ahead of its time for a better tomorrow. And with this, I thank you very, very much for coming, for being here, and I wish you a great fair.
Dr. Axel Kniehl, thank you so much. So we have to hurry. Some are already moving. 10 minutes to go. You talked about eco programs. Maybe a question to all of you: who is using eco programs day by day? Not too many. That has to change.
They will start from now onwards.
Maybe we need numbers, Axel.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how many kilowatt hours in euros can I save per year if I change my habits here?
It depends, of course, a little bit on the energy prices. So
Yeah.
right now, every day, it's more.
Higher.
But you can save, if you just do accordingly to the numbers I just, said before, instead of 30% in terms of 25, 50%, you will save around 70 kilowatt hours or 30 euros annually. And of course, with the rising prices, that can quickly go up to 50, 60, 70 euros a year.
So we have to change.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Now I would kindly ask the gentlemen to join us here on the seats because we received a lot of questions, Markus and Reinhard, and maybe we start with questions from here. We will stop as early as possible, 10 minutes to go, that you can get to the next one. One question, we have a microphone, maybe just give us a sign. I see many cameras
Here,
and no questions.
to the left side.
Over there, gentlemen.
From Sharon Newson's Smart House in Australia. I'm just interested in, as a major global company, as to the cost pluses or the negatives of the total investment you're having to make now in eco-development, as to whether it is costing the company additional money, and how is that being managed? Are you passing on costs into the products, or are we going in an opposite direction where you've got power saving through solar and other activities?
Want to take it, or should I take it? Okay. So first of all, I think there's absolutely no alternative to continuing on the route to most sustainable quality products and programs. So that's a given, and the need has become ever bigger given sort of the current environment, and then also the cost associated with it. Now it's also clear, and you also read about inflation and the cost of materials and the cost of everything that we actually need and use, that we cannot bear that all inside of the company, and we have to pass on the cost also to our consumers. Now, at the end of the day, you just heard, or just shared with you, the 50, 60, whatever the amount of money is, euros that you can save a year, right? If you have the most energy efficient programs, you add that over a 20-year lifetime, the appliances comes almost for free. That's the other side of the equation.
And just let me add one sentence. As we develop and test our appliances to last 20 years, we already carry a lot of the costs.
Thanks for that question. Another one here in the room. Here is the gentleman here. Thank you.
Florian, Samuel Berger, TVN Transworld News. Die Regierung gibt ja sehr viel Geld für alles Mögliche aus. Vor Jahren war eine Abwrackprämie für Kühlschränke im Gespräch. Auch heute sind noch viele Kühlschränke in Haushalten, die eine Katastrophe sind. Wie sehen Sie die momentane Situation dazu? Wäre das eine sinnvolle Anregung, um mal wirklich Strom zu sparen? Danke.
Ich habe natürlich keine klaren Zahlen darüber, wie viele Altgeräte entsorgt worden sind, um neue energiesparende Geräte damals zu kaufen. Mein Gefühl sagt mir jedoch, dass der alte Kühlschrank dann einfach in den Keller für das Bier gegangen ist oder in die Garage oder sonst was und das Geld genutzt worden ist, um ein neues Gerät dann für die Küche zu kaufen. Ich bin grundsätzlich kein großer Freund von Subventionen, weil sie meistens nicht das erreichen, was sie erreichen sollen und den Markt irgendwie durcheinanderwirbeln. Das heißt, ich bin nicht überzeugt davon, dass eine solche, nennen wir es Abwrackprämie für Kühlschränke oder für Althausgeräte unbedingt einen großen Effekt hat. Und wenn sie ihn hätte, dann wäre es ein Vorziehen. Das heißt, es würden dann Konsumenten diese Abwrackprämie nutzen, vorgezogen einen Kauf tätigen, der dann im nächsten Jahr oder in 2 Jahren unterbleiben würde. Das heißt, für uns als Industrie ist im langen Gesichtspunkt der Nutzen einer solchen Aktion nicht sehr hoch. Und solange die Gesetzgebung nicht klar nachhält, es gibt nur 1:1, das heißt alt weg, neu rein, ist das Ganze aus meiner Sicht zum Scheitern verurteilt. Und nur eine Effekthascherei. Aber das ist bitte meine persönliche Ansicht. Ich bin ja kein Politiker.
Vielen Dank. We have a question here from our audience.
Sorry for answering in German, by the way.
I think that's fine. The next one is in English. So, Axel, this one is for you. What position does circularity have in a sustainable strategy? Keywords: the upgrade, Miele movie or app wash with a view to resource efficiency and new customer generations.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and of course it's a topic that's all over the press as well. The question of whether appliances should be sold or appliances should be rented out and then taken back by the manufacturers. On a total perspective, you could argue that and there's obviously a lot of people that use that argument, that if all companies were to own whatever they produce over the entire life cycle, that would force manufacturers to build more sustainably and to more long-lasting, because then they have the appliances in their books. In our case, we have to say, well, that's not really relevant, because our appliances are built and tested for 20 years of lifetime. And I think it's hard to argue that making 20 years, 30 years would really then change dramatically the picture. At the same time, there's these things like renting out appliances, and we do the same. We offer with Upgrade, www.theupgrade.de, an opportunity for consumers to rent appliances. We just believe that that's more a topic of your specific lifetime situation. So of course, if you're coming into a city and you need to, you're there only for 2 years or 3 years, and then you're moving again in the global world somewhere else, obviously it might make sense to rent the appliances. And I think it's our obligation to follow the consumer needs and to offer that to consumers as well. Is it per se something that is contributing to sustainability? I have my big doubts, because at the end of the day, if we produce an appliance, we give it to you and to your home, and you keep it for 20 years, for sure that's more sustainable than if you change that appliance 5 times during the time and we ship it back and forth, etc., etc. Sure. So we still believe that that's sort of the ultimate sustainability is 20 years of lifetime.
Thanks, Axel. One more question from the audience here. The lady here in front, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very, I'm coming from Japan, so it's very impressive to hear about the sustainability, so including the scope 1, scope 2. So, but most of companies talking about to start talking about the sustainability. So what is the unique viewpoint of the Miele, and what is the strong point of the Miele's point of view? It's not only technology itself, maybe the strategy of the whole strategy of the not only product itself.
Thank you for that.
So we got together a project group 3 years ago and started a big sustainability project, because we think we are already in a good position. Axel mentioned the 20 years of tests we do, so we have a good starting point. But still, I mentioned that in my speech, of course, we use energy. We create CO2. And we asked all our employees to participate, and we got a lot of ideas about how we can save CO2, how we can save energy, and so on. And this has become now a big movement that goes under the 3 pledges I mentioned, that we really want to reduce CO2 energy. And meaning that it is not only that we want to reduce the use of energy, but also of green energy. So of course, we now buy green energy, but we still want to reduce that. So we are really digging down to the source and say, okay, this is what we want to do. And we have many projects that are running along this, like photovoltaics in Dongguan, geothermal energy in our factory in Xaverov, which we are just putting into the ground right now. And we're doing that systematically on all our production sites. But these are just a few steps we are taking. It is really the long run that we are looking at, and we really want to reduce the CO2 emissions by 2030 by 50%.
Thank you. One last question from the chat, Markus. What is the current situation regarding delivery times in the individual product groups, and what further developments does Miele expect?
So we can happily report that the delivery times are getting better and better again. In most of our product groups, we are coming back to the normal situation. So delivery times in days, and this has been a lot of work, I can tell you. And we are fighting in production each and every day to get the right material, to do everything correct. And we're not 100% there yet, but I hope this situation will be there at the end of this year, that we can deliver again with normal lead times.
Thank you, Markus. We have to come to the end. Our guests have a tough schedule for today, so thank you very much for the insights. And on behalf of everyone here at Miele, I say thank you for being here today, ladies and gentlemen, also to our guests in the live stream. Not all questions were answered here, but for sure you can send us all your questions via email. You find the contact information on our website. We hope, the whole press team hopes to see you here at IFA in the press days and on all the other days. Thanks again, gentlemen. We say bye-bye. Tschüss.
Thank you very
und auf
much.
Wiedersehen.
Thank you.